OMG. It's like you got a raise. So, my wife recently got to a point at her job that she is eligible for health insurance. Her insurance is so much better and cheaper than what I have at my work. So we switched her and our son to her insurance and brought mine down to just me. A savings of about $400 a week. When I was working with HR to set the changes up, they kept telling me it was like I was getting a raise. No, it's not a raise. I'm just not spending my money in this way anymore. You'd have thought I punted their dog off a bridge when I said it out loud. They kept insisting that it was like I got a raise. I kept pushing back that no, it's not a raise. I'm just spending our money better. They aren't doing me a favor. They aren't giving me more money. I don't think this company would use it as an excuse to not give me a raise. But damn, was that convo starting to piss me off. Anyone else get pissed with this line of thinking? ETA. I haven't got the mental energy to get to every comment, so answers to common themes. A. Yes. Our 1 hour representative is an airhead. The other is an okay person. Just remember you're handling a snake. B. I work for a pretty small LLC in the US. Which is why our HC is so expensive. C. Despite being a gasp Republican capitalist, my boss is a pretty good dude who isn't quite with the Republican program. He honestly believes in and makes trickle-down work in his company. I can't see them using my HC against me for raises. But who knows? Wilder things have happened, and I'll cross that bridge when, if I get to it. D. Yes. $400 per week. Family coverage is roughly $460 week where I work. Moi only is $30. My wife's employee and dependent coverage is $120 bi-weekly. She works for a much bigger company. So we will go from $460 week to $90 week at the first of the year. Her family coverage was a good bit more. And I don't want to completely wreck her check because her contribution to the family is really important to her. Also, this was the cheapest setup for all options. Actually, since they don't have to contribute to your premiums anymore, it's like you're giving them a raise. Just say, I see it more as a damning indictment of how poorly you manage the benefits program. They're not giving you any more money. You are simply spending your dollars elsewhere for a better deal on healthcare. Not to mention that those $400 weekly dollars are now taxable and will be far less on the bottom line of your paycheck. And is that $400 a net savings? Does it include the money now coming out of your spouse's check? Fuck this line of thinking. How it is a raise that I'm no longer trapped into paying for your overpriced benefits. Old HR gal here. They shouldn't be offering up any comments in regards to your financial decisions. They should shut up. Say thanks for letting us know and process your change of status. It was once my job to coordinate benefits and changes. I would never be so presumptuous to add my .02 about anything an employee decided unless it was. Ask the pros and cons of those decisions. Classic HR gaslighting. Glad you stood your ground. Oh yes. I retired after 21 years in the Navy. Several years ago. Every single position I've interviewed for since then. The employers always speak of my retired pay and TRICARE Prime as though it's part of their compensation package. Not once have any of the positions discussed annual income, while not including my retired pay in the sum. My retired pay from a previous career has no place in the compensation package discussion. I'm a very easygoing guy. But this one issue has really ticked me off. Each time it's come up. You didn't get a raise. They have a bad healthcare plan at your company, so you switched. That's what actually happened. Damn op. I'm annoyed for you. Reminds me of a few YRS ago when I worked at Subway. The state min wage was going up $1 and my manager was trying to sell it as, "You guys are getting a raise." She seemed upset when I corrected her by saying, "The government is forcing you. If it wasn't for them we wouldn't be getting a raise." I don't think this company would use it as an excuse to not give me a raise. You sure about that? Because companies have done more callous things than this. A few years back I got kicked off my PPO plan because the company was going with high deductible plans. Since there were only a couple dozen of us left, HR met with each of us over the plan details. I asked how much this would save the company and they claimed it was just about saving money for the employees. That was BS, and the high deductible plans don't work great if you have the wrong kind of expenses. I recently retired from a huge corporation that went almost entirely WFH during the pandemic. Just as WFH was winding down, our VP had monthly, round-table, Zoom meetings for 10 or so non-direct reports to discuss, well, his feelings usually, but ostensibly it was to get an idea how the rank and file were doing. He brought up how hard it was to deal with employees that couldn't come back into the office because they had taken the opportunity to move to cheaper places to live, and yet the company still had to pay them what they were paying in our more expensive local area. He claimed that the savings rightly belonged to the company and was exploring with HR lowering the wages of off-site workers so the company could be compensated for workers being off-site. The only member of my group who moved away was a guy with 4 kids whose wife got laid off during COVID and was offered a job in Arkansas, so the family moved to maintain the income they needed to support them. The VP used this case as an example of the problem. Apparently he didn't know I knew the guy and didn't mention his name, and went on about how much of a raise my coworker was getting for leaving the area. Now the new mandate was everyone was required to come into the office on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and the VP was trying to work out an arrangement where my remote coworker would take a pay cut if he refused to adhere to the new schedule, i.e., refused to uproot his family again and move 2,000 back to where we were based. The kicker to this story is that the VP himself had moved to Oregon during the pandemic and he was handling this dilemma by spending every third month locally and working remotely the other 2. And even though this wasn't technically Monday, Wednesday and Friday at the office, or even 3/5 on site for that matter, it was close enough for him to decide he was exempt from the taking a pay cut for not being a local employee. It would feel like a raise to me, but it would anger me with the heat of 1,000 suns for my employer to pretend like they did me some favor by having terrible, prohibitively expensive insurance for their employees' families. Wow, you're getting evicted? ? No more rent. It's like getting a raise! ! It's like you got a raise. No, it's like you are not getting ripped off anymore. $400 a week savings? So you were paying over $400 a week for insurance for a family of 3? Hold on. Why are you using your insurance at all now? If hers is better and cheaper, then you should all be on her plan as a family and you can stop paying into yours entirely. TLDR, one of my old jobs slashed benefits to the tune of $12,000 per year and fired me for having an issue with it. One of the companies I worked for covered our insurance premiums 100%. Then they were bought by another company, but sold it to us as a merger. And the resultant organization murdered 2 things: our bonuses, $8,000 per year, and our insurance plans. The new insurance plan they offered was about $300 per month employee responsibility. So with that almost $12,000 in effective salary reduction, I asked for a salary increase to compensate because I couldn't survive off of what they were paying me. I kept being told, "We're working on it," for months while being one of the best engineers for the company, before I started getting loud about the issue. Then, despite being given a meets expectations annual evaluation on Wednesday, was fired on Friday for job performance. My company finally, after 5 years of 2% raises, gave everyone a 5% raise late last year. Then in December, the new health insurance plan comes out, and of course our rates, deductibles, and copays go up so much as to completely offset the raise. My last company started getting shady and give one-time bonuses in lieu of raises. Dumbass people were so happy. "Look man, I'm getting an extra $2,000. Had to write it down on paper for them to see how much that would cost them over a career. It's almost like our society would be tons better if we had a single system that everybody was a part of, and corporations just paid a portion of their insurance costs into that pool. That would free everyone of being shackled by a job just to get health insurance. Employees could choose careers, companies that truly made them happy, or at least less miserable, and productivity would rise. Companies could even offer premium add-on plans to woo employees, or pocket the difference between what they were paying and what they are. Profits would rise. Literally everybody would win, except private, for-profit health insurance companies. But it's rather been established that they're pariahs on society anyways. But no, a certain party here has to trash any attempt at changing the status quo. Sighs. It's like your wife got a raise and your HR is breaking their own arm patting themselves on the back.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.